You're really just dabbling in maybe spreadsheets and coding a little bit. You're all over the place, and then you find how to group them together and use them. I'm sure at Intimately now you have a better sense of the back end of everything.
Yeah. And it's definitely like as a leader, of the company, and it's important for me to have all these like this liberal arts skills of everything. But I'm looking for superstars on my team, like the woman who does my financial model. Like I don't care if she has any design skill. And so it is interesting, like the give and take. Like some people out there you need to have just dabble in other things. But she's the best of the best financial model, did the financial model for Disney Plus, worked at McKinsey, chief of staff at Alibaba. Like, I don't care if you know the color wheel. I don't care if you can't tell red from pink. And so, while I would definitely promote, and my advice to people I shouldn't be giving advice to because I'm 22 years old, is to take risks and everything. But sometimes like Intimately wouldn't be where it is without our amazing designers that just focus on design and they don't know a thing about finance, so it's a hard, yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends what role maybe you're going for, because I think when you're, I mean, you're overseeing everything, so you have to have a little bit of area knowledge in everything, ideally, which you do have. What's it like scaling the team? Because now you're at 9. I assume not long ago it was just you.
Yeah.
That's like I hear everyone complaining about how hard hiring is, hiring the right people, setting up the systems. What's that been like for you?
Yeah. I mean, the woman who's with me here now, who took the semester off from Cornell, was my very first intern. And that was in March. And now all of a sudden we're up to 9. And it just kind of happened in a whirlwind where kind of like people wanted to explore in COVID. And, we have a really strong mission, and there are lots of women who are disabled. There's women who are disabled on our team and women who are able-bodied, but their moms or their friends or their siblings or their cousins are disabled. And so I think it might be different for a non-mission driven company to find the right hire. But, every day we go to work and we have the same goal, is to make the world a little less ableist and a little bit better for the people that we love or ourselves, depending on who's on the team. And so that aspect wasn't so hard. And, managing comes pretty simply when you all have the same end goal. I think that the struggle is when people can't see that 2055 goal, and they're lost. But so the managing hasn't been hard, but it has been interesting moving from somebody who ran the Instagram and did all the designs and everything. And now I have to take a step back and try not to micromanage my team and spend the day thinking, like, managing and doing strategic thoughts. And so it's definitely been interesting. I didn't really sign up to be a manager. I didn't really know this was going to come with it as my team got bigger. And so it's interesting. I kind of always thought that I would be on the more creative side, but a lot of it is, let's get the orders right. What's the MOQ? Like, let's get, everything, the
Sounds
supply
like
chain.
the world of your twin sister now. You've gone from, oh my gosh, you've gone artist, then data science and back, but now you're managing. What's a day in the life look like? Is it, like you say, like strategic partnerships, purchase orders, kind of?
Yeah. So I wake up in my beautiful flat overlooking the sun, and I have some coffee, and then I go to Station F, and nobody's up in the morning. So, all my partnerships are usually in the US, and half my team, or most of my team, is in New York City. And then part of us are here. And so I spend the morning working on usually management, making sure that everyone's doing their roles right, thinking long-term for the next weeks, finishing up some emails. And then the afternoon is like meeting. And it can be meetings with the manufacturers, meetings with our suppliers, because right now we buy wholesale. Then meetings with people that we just got featured a few minutes before I hopped on this call, and Who, What, Where, which is like my...
I forgot to congratulate because I saw your story.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And
that's massive. Yeah. You've been following them forever, no?
Yes, forever. And we've been talking to people who are pitching to Vanity Fair and Women's Wear Daily and all these other things. And so I get on calls and tell my story about that. And then I sit down and I do all the spec sheets for the tech packs for all of the designs. And and choosing how many colors in blush we want, how many colors in black we want, and then my meetings can sometimes go up to 11 p.m. because it's only 5 p.m.
Right.
Eastern Standard Time. And the other day I had a call at midnight because my manufacturer's in LA. And I was like, oh no, man, you choose the wrong city to go to. So that's.
Oh, you're a beast. Do you miss, sorry, do you miss the kind of, because so much of that is, it's managerial. Do you miss the creative aspects of what you started the blog for?
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like two different jobs entirely. It's kind of like oranges to apples. Weirdest analogy. But yeah, it just feels like every skill set that I had learning and building in the creative, what brand color do we use? What's the freaking name of this thing?
Yeah.
What's the logo? What's the copyright going to be? Are we going to use Wix or Shopify? All that stuff is a whole nother part of my brain than this. And I do miss that. But then I look back in the progress and I see all the women that have bought our bras and love it, and the women in our community that share their stories. And I wouldn't trade that, in the progress that we made.
I think when you have such a clear vision, like you said before, your team gets behind it. Anyone that's buying your product is this is so much better than anything we've had before. We just read 0 to 1 and they talk about 10 times better than anything else. And it's clear that that's making an impact what you're doing. So I'm sure that keeps the fulfillment alive for everyone, motivates everyone. I'm thinking in terms of doing all this managerial stuff, would it be easier? Because now you have some larger brands getting into it, like a Target, a Tommy Hilfiger, Zappos, more or less.
Yeah.
Is that worrisome?
You did your research.
I'm always watching everything I can or reading everything. Are you worried about them, or are you just doing your own thing? You're differentiated. You're in the lingerie right now and you can do the best there.
Yeah. Well, so we're planning on, lingerie is just the first step. We've already designed sleepwear and sleepwear can easily be transferred into daily wear. And I was talking about this with somebody today. But Intimately is designed by the women on our team who are disabled for disabled women. It's not some sort of afterthought where Zappos has been around for how long and now they're thinking of things with disabilities. Mm-hmm. They're never going to have that authentic brand partnership and, that brand voice. And, I think the disabled community is tired of being a freaking afterthought. And everything we do, it's not just when you go to Tommy Hilfiger's site, it's Tommy Hilfiger, the runway show, everything else. And then a little corner on the side is adaptive.
For people, because it's 2020 and they have to.
And so let's say even some of Tommy's clothes are fine. They work with Runway of Dreams. They're a great brand that does a lot of work for disability fashion. Why put someone on a runway? Not Tommy necessarily, but other brands that are starting to just kind of go into this space. Why put someone on a runway? And I see this a lot. They put someone on a runway that has a disability, let's say an amputated leg and they have a prosthesis. And there's no fasteners, nothing is adaptive about it, but then they just roll the pant leg up. You're not going to walk around with a freaking pant leg rolled up and, you're going to wear your pants like everybody else. I'm sorry, I'm yelling. And, it just really is annoying when it's a marketing ploy. And also, even if it's genuine, even if it's let's try to think about this from a new customer, even let's just tap into this $600 million, it's going to be 600 million women worldwide have some sort of disability that affects what they dress. It'll be a market that's worth $400 billion by 2024. Let's tap into it. Just now you're tapping into it, really? And you're going to put it on the side part of your website. So also, let's say Target and Tommy really go full force on the adaptive line. The beautiful part about this new fashion, adaptive fashion, is just like all types of fashion, there's so many. You can be boho, you can be preppy, you can be somewhere in the middle. You could be Lily Pulitzer, you could be J. Crew Madewell. And so there's going to be a lot of space for competitors to do lines in this market. It's not like all folks with disabilities dress in the same black pants and black shirt,
Right.
So,
it ought to be like any other competitive market for buying clothes and accessories.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to happen in the next 10 years. The same way that the maternity market started with just Liz Lang creating designs for designers, in the plus size market in the early 2000s with Lane Bryant, just a couple designs that fit beautiful, curvier bodies. And now you can see maternity and plus size everywhere.
So other than intimately, it sounds like you exist for this mission, obviously. Are you kind of the only person doing this as everything you do, as opposed to kind of an afterthought like the other big brands? Or are there other people similar to Intimately that exist for the same reason you do?
Yeah, there's Patty and Ricky, which I just got off the call with her yesterday. She's been in the New York Times, the Today Show, everything. And she does, it was named after her mother and her cousin, Patty and Ricky. And so she's in it for the same reasons I am. And she has a big marketplace of everything from canes to like beautiful canes to lingerie to children's wear to everything. So there are other players like Patty and Ricky in the space, but I think what separates us is that we're really I was an art major, so I wanted this to be the most beautiful space. This was looking nothing like a doctor's office. We were going to use pink and like all these fun colors and really work on our UI UX and really work on our branding and make sure everything is really clear. Where I think that some of the other brands who are doing similar stuff to Intimately are just a little bit behind on that stage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just something we prioritized.
Very cool.
Sorry, sometimes train goes by, so I have to mute my mic. But yeah, it's funny. We see a lot in Shark Tank. I think a lot of people's exposure was to this. And I think Mr. Wonderful, I'm not sure if you've ever seen the show, but
I've seen the show, but Mr. Wonderful,
he's the bald guy that's always grumpy. Or
Kevin O'Leary.
And then there's Damon John too. He's basically like, you have this idea, you're competing against bigger companies. Why don't you just patent something and then license it to them? That would be a lot easier. But I'm not sure. I know the magnets in the front. I don't know why that's not in every bra. I'm not a woman, so I can't tell. But It seems like that'd be the first thing you'd want to do, is at least put it in the front. But it seems like definitely an uphill battle. But is it the mission then that's really pushing you past that approach?
Yeah, it is. It's twofold. It is our technology, which is going to be more than just the magnets in the front, but I can't reveal it yet. But so it's going to be the proprietary technology that we can eventually license out or whatever we want to do with it. Maybe it's do partnerships with, a partnership line with Anthropologie, a partnership line with J. Crew, partnership line with Urban Outfitters, and all have it on our website as a marketplace. So in that place, we still have the authentic central core place that was built by and for women with disabilities, but we also have all the other different types of fashion, and we are able to license it. But it's that functional, it's the ability that we can turn the function and the fashion and this community and blog post piece where you're not going to find another like publication or attached to, like, nowhere on the H&M blog are they going to have only voices by disabled women, where you can go there and just feel entirely yourself. Like, for the first time, everyone else is like you and that you belong.
What's amazing, and I guess we touched on this with the afterthought, and it's like big companies can't do what you're doing because this is just your world. You're creating this community. Everyone's so invested now. And we just read a book by Jim McKelvey, who started Square, co-founded it. And they're talking about how there was just the 20% of the market that wasn't served. In this case, the bottom 20% that weren't doing enough high ticket transactions. And so they just built Square, and now everyone can do it. And they just beat out Amazon when they came after them because they just crushed it from the beginning on their one niche that everyone was overlooking. And I think that's similar to what you're doing. Like, you're growing so fast, you're just going to have so many advantages. It's called the innovation stack in the book. So like, you have these little innovations as you go. One of them is this bra patent I'm sure you have, or the next one that you can't reveal yet, but it just, all of these advantages build off of one another. And that's where you're at right now, it seems.
Yeah. And it's also like a big R&D up front for,
right.
It's not like just creating another line of clothing, and like probably similar to Square. I haven't read it, but like, you do have to put in enough R&D and really listen to the customers. And so we have that advantage too, that I've already done 2 years of research, and we're doing research and talking to our customers every day. And, it's not simple to do adaptive apparel, and manufacturers are like, oh, you want to put a zipper on that side? We've never done that in the last 200 years. So we're not going to do that for you. You're like, actually, you have to rethink fashion. And so there's a lot of barriers to entry more than just creating.
Yeah. How hard is it to convince manufacturers, like you say, to do something completely new? That's crazy. Yeah. Hundreds of years.
Yeah. I mean, in the bra, and everyone's like, the clasp goes in the back. Like, no, it doesn't. I doesn't have to. And it's been really, and there's also not a lot of, I don't even think there's one cup bra manufacturer in the United States. So it's all overseas. And it's been a big struggle. And that's why we've had some delays on in part because of COVID and everything trying to shut down, obviously. But I'm lucky that I have my designer has designed for Lucky Brand and Jessica Simpson and Vince Camuto. And so she has all the connections, and she's like, actually, we're going to get this done. And so cool. That's really great.
Where did you find, these awesome hires, these superstars on your team?
Yeah, I reached out to a few of them that I just had like professional crushes on, or was introduced to them. And then they, like with Julia, my CFO, she just immediately fell in love with Intimately and the mission, and we got along so well at first. Maddie, who's my designer, was working for these big Jessica Simpson, all these other big brands, and she wanted to switch paths and maybe become a physical therapist, and she just was looking for more meaning in her life. And Intimately was like all her skill sets as being a designer, but also that aspect of that mission. And then there's other women with disabilities that this is their future of confidence and what they get to wear every morning. So they reached out to me too.
I think there's a couple things there. One, we're big on meaning, and we see so many people coming out of Brown that just apply to a Google or Facebook or whatever, just because they see everyone else doing it or get into banking. Yeah. And I mean, it just kills us on the inside. Not that like, I'm sure they're doing better than us by traditional metrics, or maybe not you, but like Henry and I, we're just living simply right now, but it's so fun. Like every day is so exciting. I'm sure you're in the same, just motivated day in and day out. Clearly, if you're working from dawn to beyond dusk.
What's the other one? Dusk.
Basically. So it's so big and so few people get into it. What's like, why were maybe you unique and taking a different path, or like, do you see what we see in kinds of people that don't follow what they think they should do with their purpose and meaning?
Yeah, I mean, but I was close. Like
I was going to say you were almost in that world.
Right? I had an internship for a Facebook position in Austin, and I, applied to Pinterest. I applied to Google. I still get like the Google job thing for some reason. And so I don't know if it was coronavirus that just I happened to be home. I was like, I'm not going to get a freaking job. Let's go full speed ahead. Or maybe I would have turned down the job at Facebook and just realized that this was what I wanted to do. So I don't know if I'm not like, I don't know. I was really into that sexy, I was like, if I was smart enough to work at Goldman Sachs, I'd work at Goldman Sachs and sell my soul. So yeah, I don't think I'm the right person because
I think what's happening right now, I'm starting something, Emma, and for the first time in my life, people are kind of like coming out of, I don't know where they're coming from, but people are reaching out to me because they want to work with and for me. And I do think it's like this silver lining of coronavirus where a lot of people are at home. A lot of our friends are saving a lot of money, living at home with their families. And I think like the assumption that you have to go to Google and you have to go to Facebook and Apple and whatever, I think that's really being tested right now. That's the silver lining I get from the coronavirus. Dylan left a job in April or May or whenever it was for kind of the same reason. It's like, you can only go up from here. It's a really bad year. Might as well just go for it.
It's not as sexy as going to Palo Alto or Mountain View and living there and going to our Instagram office every day. It's like you're home with your parents, in your room doing on your laptop doing work. Like, why not do work that you love if you're going to be on your laptop on your couch anyway?
That's exactly it.
Yeah. I mean, Henry just said it, but that was the motivation. Like, you're here anyway. It's just like make the most of it, explore a little bit. Luckily, you talk about recognizing the privilege that we all have. And I think that's massive because so few people can do what we're doing. But it's great. Like when you have the opportunity, seize it. You're clearly seizing it right now in Paris, jealous of everything. So what right now going towards your 2055 vision? Like what is your big focus? Like wow, what's the next big step that you need to make to get there?
And what is your 20? I don't know what your 2055 vision is.
Yeah. Also, I want to hear what you're working on later, but okay. I guess I'll answer this question. So for intimately the 2055 goal, there's obviously a lot of aspects of the world that needs to be reformed to be more adaptive, whether that's spaces that can be more adaptive and friendly towards folks with disabilities, raising the people with disabilities can be paid less than minimum wage. So there's a lot of other things that I would like to change. But for intimately, my 2055 goal is that it is as easy to get any type of clothes that you want that fits you perfectly and makes you feel beautiful as a disabled woman. And there is no stigma around adaptive fashion. And every company does a line, maybe hopefully it's with Intimately in partnerships, but every line from Anthropologie to Chanel has lines and models with disabilities. And when my daughters will look at runway shows and everything, and just go shopping, they won't think twice, and they will be upset they'll be upset if they see and confused if they see a shop that does not have adaptive line.
I'm thinking, what years? Okay, that's 25 years from now, right? Yeah. Quarter of a century. I'm really scared of plans. Obviously, your mission warrants having such massive plans. You want to change the whole narrative around able-bodyism. So that's very cool. 25 years scares the hell out of me.
I know. I hope we're still around.
Kudos to you.
Thanks,
is there anything else that we haven't covered, Emma? Because I know you're busy. You have your meetings. What's cool too, I wanted to mention quickly. You
just got featured in your dream publication and you're here.
Right. You should be talking.
Take us home, Dylan.
Well, one, it's cool that I'm not sure the nature of the meeting, but I think it was Patty and Ricky and how they're working with you. I assume with you, unless it's some clash. Okay. Well, it's interesting that you're just talking. Okay, maybe it's not. Maybe it's clashing more than I thought. But having these meetings with other people and really, there's an effort. I think everyone can win the more adaptive fashion there is, adaptive clothing.
You're right. It is you're absolutely right. It is coming together and it's also forming a language. Adaptive fashion. It's not really intuitive. What does adaptive mean? Who's adapting to who? Are we adapting to the world, or are they adapting to us? And so creating languages and just working together. We need a disabled woman on the cover of Vogue, and we need superstars and singers that are disabled, and in every aspect, in academics who are disabled and entrepreneurs who are disabled. And so you're right. It is a huge collective effort to just change the stigma.
So to wrap up here, 10% pretty much of the world, 600 million women, have something affecting the way they dress, right?
And so that doesn't include deaf folks or folks with disabilities that don't have disabilities. And I think the percentage is 15% of the world's population.
Okay, 15%. So what I'm thinking is, like you say, how come when I go in, I love Gap. I mostly shop at Gap. I'm a simple person. How come when I go into Gap, 15% of the store isn't dedicated to that population, right?
Yeah, I mean,
That's 2055.
Yeah. And how many mothers do you know that are pregnant? I don't know that percentage, but a lot of people are pregnant in the world. And prior to 1990, before Liz Lang, 1998, I guess, you would never see maternity wear anywhere. And it's the same thing. It's battling that stigma of, dressing as a pregnant woman, dressing as a disabled woman, and getting over that stigma. And then people will think it's normal. And there'll be 15% of the store dedicated to disabled folks with
I
our
think
patents.
That's the beauty of having this more globalized, connected world is now you can go into niches that even though it's 15%, it should be massive enough, but like you can have companies entirely dedicated to these people that were underserved in the past. And it's amazing. I'm sure your mom's happy with what you're doing because you're literally, building for yourself, for your family. So that's inspirational for everyone. Any closing thoughts on your mind, Emma? Anything we haven't covered that you want to get out to the world?
No, you guys did a great job asking all sorts of great questions.
Awesome. This was fun.
Try.
I'm so excited. We'll see. We'll keep up to date with your story. Hopefully more and more awesome publications feature you. And best wishes. Enjoy Paris.